When you find a situation where you need some inspiration, there's an open invitation. This could be a revelation, it's true. Well, do.
All right, so this video is just going to dive into why you would maybe use Google Forms for reading conferring and or data collection. So one of the things that I know that we've been asked as a district, we're very into the workshop model right now, whether you're doing workshop model for reading, for writing, for math, whatever. The data collection happening throughout that process can come in one of two forms. So you first have to ask yourself, are you an anecdotal person? Do you like to take copious amounts of notes when you're sitting with a kid and go back through them? Or are you a person that needs kind of a really quick way to sit with a kid, get some information, and then move and sit with another kid? And in that case, if you are a person that's less anecdotal and more kind of strategic data collection, then a Google Form option is perfect for you. And what that could look like is, I've got a couple of options here. Now, of course, these are reading options, but you can definitely substitute in math or science questions to make it more specific to your content area. But I always ask myself as I make these a couple of different questions. In the Canvas course, you have access to make copies of all of these three forms that I'm about to show you, and then you can change them up as you want, or you can start from scratch and create kind of what I have here. Depends on what you'd like to do. So this first form that I'm showing you here, I decided to put all of my students' names. This is just something because if I know that I'm going to access this form on an iPad or my phone, I want to make it as simple as possible. So a lot of just taps on the screen versus actual typing. So if I was to change this from multiple choice to a short answer, for example, I would have to type each individual kid's name in. And the other thing you have to think about too when it comes to the data collection and sorting is the more that you can make it uniform, the easier the sort will be for you on the back end. So if I have the students' names already typed out, then I'm going to get it the same every time on my spreadsheet. So every entry for Jack Brown, for example, I can sort and find right away. Instead of potentially, spelling his name wrong or saying Brown, comma Jack or something like that, every time. Instead, by doing it this way, then I know that it's going to be uniform. Same can be said for periods or blocks and using multiple choice for that as well. Now, if you are a secondary person like I am, and you potentially have 180 to 250 kids, this becomes a little bit more cumbersome. So you have to think to yourself, do you want to take the time to copy and paste? And you can copy and paste. Go into Synergy, get a roster report, and copy and paste the roster into a Google form. Or do you want to make this so that you're typing in the kid's name every time you sit down with them? Totally up to you. If it were me, I probably would attempt to copy and paste from a Synergy roster report, and I would probably have a form for each period. Now, I know one of the options I'm going to show you here actually is from Aloha High School, and they chose to not input the roster and instead type out the name, and it's a branching form, which is something I'm going to go into more detail in another video. But you just have to figure out what works for you. For me, I'd rather open up a different Google form depending on what period or block I'm in versus one form that has multitudes of data going to a spreadsheet. So again, it's just all up to your personal preference. So I have student names here for my roster. Then I actually put a picture here so that I had access to some different strategies for reading conferring. And then that's actually what I referenced for some of these observations and things that I see here. So I use this form to gather some observations. That's one column on the form. And then potential goals, and then possible strategies, so that when I'm actually filling this out in the classroom, it is so simple for me. Let me show you. I'm going to go up to the preview mode. So imagine I'm sitting next to Michelle. I'm sitting next to Michelle, and I am currently observing that she is reading too quickly, which means she also can't remember what she has read. She's choosing books that are too difficult, and because of that, she can't comprehend. And what we're going to work on is comprehension and her book selection. Possible strategies for that is we're going to work on adjusting reading rates. We're going to check for understanding. We're going to work on retelling the story, and we're going to work on reading appropriate level books. Anything else that I can do, I can work with her on summarization and making mental images. But this is actually, now that I see this, this is actually coming out as a multiple choice. And when it says check all that applies, I might want to go back in and change this from multiple choice to check boxes so that I can pick more than one. And then when it comes down to comments, now because I'm recording this on my computer, I can't do it on my iPad. My iPad has the text-to-speech option. So either I can type out my answer. Now, if I was on my iPad, I could just use the speech to text and say that real quick, and it would be submitted into the form. So when you think about the fact that you might have a lot of students and you want to make sure that you sit with them on a regular basis to go through this reading conferring piece, that makes a nice and easy way to do a reading conference. And to collect that data. So you can take a look at that one if you like. Another option that I have linked here is connected to ERLA and goal setting. So just peruse that and see if that's of interest to you. I'm going to skip over to the secondary option. So if you are one of my elementary people, you can probably stop the video now or fast forward. But this does go into talking, like I said, about branching forms. So depending on, I'm going to go ahead and go to the preview so you can see it in preview mode. So let's just say I'm filling this out in class and I am in 4th period. Now, when I click 4th period, it's going to actually click me into the next section where I'm in period 4 and I'm typing that I am sitting with Tyler S. And so then I'm going to click on the next button and I'm going to pick which type of book I'm seeing him read. He's reading nonfiction. And he told me that he picked it because of the display at the library. And how much did they read last year? Well, he said that he's only read in class. Favorite place to read at home, he said, is laying down in his bedroom. Notes. Do I have more comfy spots in the classroom for Tyler? I don't know. And then go on to the next one. So this is where I can talk about the complexity and continue through the form. So you see that this is actually like prompting you to have those conversations as you're sitting next to the students. Again, you can access this from your iPad, you can access it from your phone, and you can access it from your computer. So I just ask those questions to myself as I'm making the form too. If I want to be able to take more anecdotal stuff and I'm okay with typing, then maybe I'm going to access the form through my computer and I can leave more short answer or paragraph questions. But if I'm accessing this from my iPad or my phone, I want to have a lot more of these checkbox multiple choice options. All right.